City branding update by Eviva Brands. Invite up David Kippen.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Pro Tem, and council members. Tonight's presentation is going to be a recap of the media purchasing campaign that the city, that ended with the city on June 30th of this year. If you recall, in December of 2018, the council authorized the purchase of media placement through the guidance of Orange 22 for an amount not to exceed $206,000. Through those purchases, ads and stories were placed through social media, local newspapers, print and digital, and as well as digital billboards. Tonight we have with us, hopefully no strangers to you, we have David Kippen of Eviva Brands and Balboa of Orange 22. And without stealing their thunder of the positive result of the outcome of the marketing campaign with the media purchases, I'm going to have them take over. And so David's going to lead off with the presentation, followed by Ann, and then I will wrap it up at the end. So with that, David Kippen of Eviva Brands.
Thank you, Director Reed. Good evening, council members. It's very good to see you again. Can you?
David, if you get up nice and close to the mic.
There we go. Yeah. It's very nice to see you again, and we come bearing some very good news. We're happy to report on what we'll be sharing tonight. Just because it's been a while, let me kind of reacquaint you with, as what Kwame was saying about how our agencies work. So my agency develops creative products. We develop the messages, we develop the ads, we develop the stuff that goes into media. Ann's agency then says, these are the media we should use, and optimizes, which is to say, runs ads in parallel, compares how ad A is doing relative to ad B. If ad B is doing better, buys more for ad B and turns down ad A. So between the two of us, what we do is we create a plan and execute a plan to meet the city's objectives that we set together such a long time ago. And what we're here today to do is tell you, well, how did we do against the plan? How did the media do? What's the response been? And as I said, I think if I can click through this, you'll be very happy with the results we've achieved. But I'm going to start with this slide, which is actually from the RFP for branding services eons ago, to say we've actually accomplished or are in the process of accomplishing many of the goals that the city set for this project. We said in our RFP response, these are the city's goals, that you set ambitious but attainable targets to identify target audiences, to support Antioch's economic development strategies and future needs, to provide reports to the City Council, to raise Antioch's identity regionally and nationally among real estate development and corporate decision makers, to positively positively impact impressions of Antioch, promote Antioch innovation, and so on and so forth. You're going to see tonight that many of these goals have already been attained. You'll also see, and I think this is something we've talked about before, that this is a journey, not an event. It's something where the city's investment and the city's continued investment will continue to pay off as long as the city keeps the city's shoulder to the wheel. So importantly, the results we're delivering are a point-in-time set of results. We haven't shifted impressions of Antioch forever. We've shifted them for now, and we hope you'll be pleased at the results you see, but we hope you'll also see that this is a journey. It's something that we've embarked on together and have more work still to be done. So Ann, let me turn over to you to talk about the campaign itself.
Just hit this.
Yeah, this one here.
Okay. Nice to see you again, Mayor, Council, veterans, and locals. We chose the Smart Plus BART program. I don't know if you remember that branding on the, it was a $206,000 choice that we made to create awareness amongst business and lifestyle targets of Antioch being a city of opportunity. And the program ran April through June. It ran 2 full months. We used traffic driving strategies both on the internet and outdoor. We use smart targeting with something called programmatic media, which is harnessing the best the web has to offer for targeting. We optimized, as David was saying, we looked at which ads were doing better, which ones were driving to your website, which ones were keeping people on the site longer so they were learning more about the opportunities, and we were able to hone that. We focused on media that would allow us to tell a story, because there's a big story to be told here. We used 3 different outdoor boards to capture people sort of in their pain point of commuting. And we backed that up with a BART program. We were all across the Bay Area on BART. And then we did an in-depth partnership with a couple of your local community papers. So how'd it do? Well, we drove 51,000 clicks to your site. That translated to 22,000 actual people. So some people clicked more than once. That's what they call a click-through rate of 0.30%. That sounds really tiny, but it's 6 times the average of what anybody's clicking on an ad campaign on the web. So in that regard, it was very successful. We had planned to reach 18 million people, but by the time our team got done negotiating and some local media was donated, we ended up with 29 million impressions. The time that people spent on the AntiochIsOpportunity.com website was 31 seconds. So they looked around, they didn't leave, and they stayed a good amount of time. And that was, you may have not heard this term before, a bounce rate of 32%. That means some people who click on an ad don't even end on the site. They just go away before they get there. And the average on the internet is 50%. So this site was way below the average, which is great. And if we take the social media out, it was 9%, because when people come from social media, the engagement's more happening on the social side than the website side. So it was interesting to see when you took the social media out, it was phenomenal. 9% is phenomenal. So again, you had 22,000 new users. We excluded 100,000 that were showing up that came from Snapchat, because Snapchatters click a lot around and it's just really hard to pin down how many there really were. So we actually threw that number out. And the programmatic Facebook and search drove the most of the traffic. We also were able to use what's called a geofencing technology, which tracks your cell phone. And if you saw our ad and came to Antioch, then we would know. So of the people who saw or clicked on your ads, 41,000 of them actually arrived in Antioch. That's not to say who they are. They don't live here, but they could be people that work here that saw your ads from other communities. But we were able to align that anonymously with apps on their cell phones. And we were able to see that these people use Groupon, Credit Karma, eBay, and they love Hobby Lobby for some reason. And 67% of your visits within 8 to 18 days of seeing your ad came to Hobby Lobby. I'm not exactly sure what that says, but there could be something there. So again, we had $206,000 budgeted, but we came in under budget at $197,000. And this is a pretty quick presentation. The next slides are just to give you some ideas of what ran. This was an outdoor board in Berkeley. We had one on the Bay Bridge. Here's a bit closer up on it. We also had a local board at 4th and Summersville. Again, we had coverage across the entire Bay Area on BART, letting people know you're now on the BART line. We also did a story, a literal story with SF Gate, who loaned us one of their editors and worked very closely with David and his team here to write a story that ran across not just SF Gate, but other websites as well, like Sunset Magazine and other websites that your target audience would look at locally. And we got just under 2 million impressions, but what was phenomenal is we got almost 10,000 people engaged. That's a combination of people who clicked the story or spent 30 seconds or longer reading the story. So this was something that we saw on your Google Analytics as well that backed up what SF Gate was telling us, that people were really spending a lot of time reading about you. Their average story, people only go down 60% to read the depth of the story, and your people read 88%. So they read almost the entire story, and that stands out for SF Gate averages. And there was a dominant male aspect to it as well, which stood out. They also sent out emails like these both to your lifestyle target and to your business target. And this was actually the most successful thing on your entire program. You had almost a 2.5% click-through. And we can go really deep into analytics. We know that the most people clicked on the photos, then they clicked on the logo, then they clicked on words that were in the story. We even know what words they clicked on that were in the story. So the amount of data that we can get from these things to inform us for the next program is significant. Then we used this new technology called programmatic media, where you might have heard it called sort of a machine-based media. It has to do with cookies that are put on your website and coding, and we're able to reach our targets, and we know what they have done on the internet. We know what they're interested in. We know where they live, so we can target them by both the consumer lifestyle and the business. We also were able to target Facebook through our programmatic partner. We're also able to skip hours and hours of media buying time, contacting business newsletters, and go through our programmatic vendor and get on all the business newsletters that our local people read. So you can cut out a lot of direct relationships to go through one vendor to get to many now, as well as retargeting. And something really different that we did was physical retargeting. If you came to the Antioch as Opportunity website, anonymously they would connect your coding with, you want to show the council that? With a physical postcard that literally would come to your home. So this one came to me. I was a test. We were testing it, so the production has a little bit of work that was done on it that we improved. The media team got the first ones so that we could see what they would look like. But because I went to the website about 2 weeks later, I got this postcard in the mail, and we sent out 7,000 postcards went to people. We also implemented the arrivals tracking that I mentioned earlier, and we were able to track 41,000 people who had seen your ad who actually arrived in Antioch. This technology is very new. I can't say a whole lot about it other than they don't live here. So these are people that were coming for some other reason. You have a lot of things here like Hobby Lobby and whatnot, so or could have been visiting family, we don't know, but in the future the technology will get better and better so we can tell you more about what people are doing. These are some examples of the social ads we ran on Instagram and Facebook. They had the second highest engagement on the whole media buy with 1.37% click-through compared to your overall. And then we also used the business social platform of LinkedIn, and we were able to target not only your entrepreneurs, but location scouts was a segment that we looked at for people who might be looking to expand their businesses. And this was the third most successful part of your buy. And what's exciting about them is when we grow our business with them a little more, and we're talking about flipping the balance here this year where we put more emphasis on the business targets and the lifestyle, we'll reach a level where they will be able to tell us who the companies are. They will be able to tell us the name of the companies and the titles. They won't give us the name of who spent time on your site or who engaged with your ads, but we'll know the companies. And this will be a great list to hand you, and and Kwame. So you can follow up on who's showing that interest. And one particular element that I saw in your Google Analytics is someone from LinkedIn spent 9 minutes on your site. That was the highest amount of time that I saw anyone spending on your site, and that came from a business element. So that'll be really, really great when we can reach a level where we can pull in real data so that you can target those companies very specifically. We also ran on search with Google. We got over 1,000 clicks, and it was kind of interesting to see the top keywords were work in for the business segment. They were work in the Bay Area, start a business, rent office space, start a business, all stuff you love to see here. Lifestyle was best places in the Bay Area, top Bay Area cities, best place to move. We weren't really focusing on getting people to try to move in this, mind you, but that did filter up to the top. And nice cities near San Francisco. And search had over 20% of the people who came from search spent over a minute on the site. So these were, even though the click-through was less than the average of the program, the time they spent was much higher. You want to take this part? I'm going to hand this back over to David.
So that's a lot of stuff, and believe it or not, this is a very pared down deck. We had about 80 slides, but in the interest of your evening and knowing that you have a very full meeting ahead of you, we wanted to get it down to the essentials, but I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. One of them is, when we started this journey, we looked very closely at your earned media. That is, how are you doing socially? How are you doing in media and reporting? And at the time, your earned media, there are 3 components to it. There's positive sentiment, negative sentiment, and neutral sentiment, right? Positive is obviously somebody says good things about Antioch, negative's bad things, and neutral is I had lunch in Antioch, right? It's just a mention. Well, when we started, negative led positive by almost 2 to 1. Not quite 2 to 1, but it was almost 2 to 1, 2 negative mentions for every positive mention about Antioch and earned. Today, look where we are. We're at the inversion of that. We're at the end of last month, we're at 2 to 1 positive to negative in social and earned media. That's important. That's powerful. This is important and powerful too. So this is looking at owned media. These are the Facebook pages that the city of Antioch owns and maintains over the course of basically the runtime of this campaign from May through July. You'll see that there's a significant increase in impressions and engagement. What you'll also see is there's a significant increase in positive sentiment in the city of Antioch. So not only because we're buying impressions and doing this great work to get a positive word out of Antioch, but because of the knock-on effect of, as we said long ago, a rising tide lifts all boats. The economy is getting better. Things are getting better. The city has been doing a lot of very visible things. Maintaining roads, maintaining medians. There are signs of progress everywhere one looks. Those have nothing to do with the media campaign, but they amplify the fact that in general, the sentiment is getting better and better. I want to leave you with one last slide, though, which is, hold on. It may be, it builds, sorry. So what you see now is June 2019 to July 2019, that's utilization of the Antioch's Opportunity site. We've gone from around 10,000 users to a few hundred users. This will continue to flatline because it's still the case that positive sentiment takes additional building. So we're going to be working hard with Kwame and with Ron to get the mix right. As Ann said earlier, This initial part of the campaign was about 70% general awareness and about 30% economic development. We knew that we needed to get good messages about Antioch out there as a baseline, to add messages about, think of starting a business here, think of moving your business here, think of whatever the opportunity we want to build on is here. Now we can start changing that focus a little bit and moving more toward a 60-40 and eventually a 50-50 split between general opportunity messaging and business-focused messaging. But this is an important reminder that we need to keep the inertia and keep this moving. With that said, let us pause and take a breath. You may have many questions. We'd be happy to take as many as you have time for.
Thank you. I'll open it up for council questions or comments. Anything? Mayor Pro Tem Motz.
I just want to thank you, David. This is was a lot of pressure from the community that this might not work out. So this is really, really good news, I think, not just for us, but for the city of Antioch, for the community of Antioch, as we look to really change the perception of our community and also to let the Bay Area and nation know that our doors are open and we're looking to have affordable commercial property and places for people to come open their businesses and to come to this beautiful city. So I, for one, just want to thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Councilmember Motz.
If there's nothing further, thank you very much for a great report.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 4,